One of Magic's oldest characters is Dakkon Blackblade. Printed in the set Legends, Dakkon was a fan favorite. His card was so iconic that he, along with many other legendary cards, were reprinted in Chronicles, which subsequently caused the infamous reserve list to happen. However, we're not going to cover that topic. Instead, we're going to tell you the history and lore behind Dakkon Blackblade and his arch-nemesis, Gaedrone Dihada. The story of Dakkon and Gaedrone was first revealed in a comic by Armada, aptly titled Dakkon Blackblade, a Magic Legend. It starts off with Dakkon, a mortal blacksmith on the plane of Dominaria. He was approached by the planeswalker Gaedrone Dihada. Sensing the spark inside him, Gaedrone offered Dakkon the ability to ascend into a planeswalker, but only if he would make her the most powerful sword in existence. Already a corrupt individual seeking more power, Dakkon took the offer. With the offer taken, Gaedrone shared her secret sorcery that made the sword a Soul Drinker, a blade capable of stealing the energy of those killed by it. For a decade, Dakkon strengthened the sword by killing countless slaves to cool and reheat it. He also waded into battle wielding the sword. Tales of Dakkon and his soul-draining sword spread far across the land that he became known as Dakkon Blackblade. By the time Gaedrone returned, Dakkon's sword was fully forged along with the blacksmith's evil soul. As promised, Dakkon gave Gaedrone the Blackblade. With the weapon in her possession, the scheming planeswalker struck it at Dakkon's shadow, binding his soul to the sword while also igniting his planeswalker spark. She then departed, intending to steal Dakkon's power once it had grown. Of course, this angered Dakkon, and they both became sworn enemies. Years later, Gaedrone, disguised as a monk, tricked a young boy named Karth into summoning Dakkon and binding him to the boy's service. Dihada sent her corrupted Marrow sorcerer, Sol'Kanar, which by the way was another popular card from Legends after Dakkon. Sol'Kanar, who wielded the Blackblade, was bested by the Planeswalker. With the Swamp King proving no match for Dakkon, Gaedrone summoned the Elder Dragons Pyre and Chromium Ruel. Dakkon quickly banished Chromium, while Karth retrieved the fallen Blackblade and handed it to Dakkon. With the blade in hand, Dakkon struck a killing blow on Pyre, igniting massive energy so powerful that it left a giant chasm. Gaedrone was able to absorb some of this energy, and with the newfound power, tried to control Dakkon. However, Dakkon resisted, and Gaedrone fled. In the aftermath, Dakkon's soul was returned to him. With the backstory of Dakkon out of the way, let's take a look at his card. Introduced in the set Legends in 1994, Dakkon Blackblade is a legendary creature human warrior that costs 2 generic, 1 black, 2 blue, and 1 white mana. His only ability is his power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. The ability to grow in power and toughness was powerful for a creature during Magic's earliest days, and with iconic art by Richard Kane Ferguson, the legendary creature became a popular target among collectors and casual kitchen table players alike. Dakkon's legacy was so great that many years after his initial printing, the Elder Dragon Highlander format had Dakkon as one of its earliest generals. Dakkon's only reprint came in Chronicles, which unfortunately came in a set with a lot of controversy. In 1995, Magic was still a very young game, and it was common for any card game during that time to easily fade into obscurity. So when 4th edition and Chronicles released a high supply of reprints, the value of cards dropped dramatically, causing a panic among collectors and players. Wizard of the Coast immediately enacted the Reserve List, which was a reprint policy that prevented certain cards to never be printed again. Dakkon Blackblade, already a reprinted card, was excluded from that list, and even though Dakkon could be reprinted, he never saw another reprint since the first one in 1995. Of course, the famed legend would return in 2021 in the set Modern Horizons 2, but before we cover that, let's wrap up the rest of Dakkon and the Blackblade story. Besides the events covered in the comics, the rest of Dakkon's story is unknown. However, the Blackblade continued on in Magic's lore. When the set Future Sight released in 2007, the card Korlash, heir to the Blackblade, was printed, and it shows Korlash wielding the famed sword. Unfortunately, there was no official backstory on Korlash and how he obtained the Blackblade. From there, it would take another 11 years before we would see the Blackblade again. This time it was in the set Dominaria, with its very own card, Blackblade Reforged. It no longer was in the hands of Korlash, but another black creature. Before we continue with the story, we'd like to point out the legacy of Dakkon and his Blackblade. They have been etched in Magic's history that even 24 years after its printing, the artist Richard Kane Ferguson continued to illustrate artwork for anything related to the Blackblade, which in this case was a promo version from the Gideon Signature Spellbook set. With that said, back to the story. The blade was recovered by the Cabal and passed into the possession of the Elder Demon Belzenlok. The origins of the sword were rewritten by the Cabal, and it was said the Blackblade was reforged by the Demon Lord. When members of the Gatewatch, Liliana Vess and Gideon Jura, learned of its existence, they devised a plan to slay Belzenlok with his own blade. Their attempt was a success. With Belzenlok defeated, the blade was in the hands of Gideon, who plans to use it on another powerful being, the Elder Dragon Planeswalker, Nicol Bolas. With their mission completed on Dominaria, Gideon, along with his allies, planeswalked to the city plain of Ravnica. There they encountered Nicol Bolas. During the battle, Gideon succeeded at striking Nicol Bolas with the Blackblade. However, the sword shattered when hitting the Elder Dragon's flesh. The reason the sword was unable to kill Nicol Bolas was because the Elder Dragon had enchanted the sword in the past so that it would never be able to hurt an Elder Dragon again. All of these events took place in the set War of the Spark, and one of the new Planeswalker cards in that set was Gideon Blackblade, which depicted Gideon wielding the corrupt sword. In the end, Nicol Bolas was defeated, but at the cost of Gideon's life. The Blackblade, though broken, could still be reforged again, but only by the hands of a skillful craftsman. That's where the story ends for now, but we believe more of Dakkon and his whereabouts will be uncovered in future sets. Speaking of sets, when Modern Horizons 2 released, the set introduced the very first Dakkon Blackblade Planeswalker card, as well as the very first card to feature Gaedrone Diada. Not only did this set bring those two Planeswalkers back to life, it also printed Pyre, the unfortunate Elder Dragon that was struck by the Blackblade. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at those two Planeswalker cards, starting with Dakkon Shadowslayer. With the same colors as the original card, Dakkon costs 1 white, 1 blue, and 1 black. Instead of a set number of starting loyalty, Dakkon enters the battlefield with loyalty counters equal to the number of land cards you control. His first ability is +1 loyalty, Surveil 2. Second ability, -3 loyalty, exile target creature. And his final ability is -6 loyalty, you may put an artifact card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. Now let's take a look at Gaedrone Diada. For 1 generic, 1 blue, 1 black, and 1 red mana, you get a Planeswalker that enters the battlefield with 4 loyalty counters. She also has protection from permanents with corruption counters on them. Her first ability is +1 loyalty. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Then put a corruption counter on up to 1 other target creature or Planeswalker. Her second ability is -3 loyalty. Gain control of target creature or Planeswalker until end of turn. Untap it and put a corruption counter on it. It gains haste until end of turn. And her final ability is -7 loyalty. Gain control of each permanent with a corruption counter on it. After knowing the story behind both characters, their Planeswalker cards are very flavorful, as Dakkon still grows in power equal to the lands you control, while Gaedrone is able to corrupt and control any creature or Planeswalker around her. Well, that's it for this video. We hope you enjoyed the watch and learned a few things. Please make sure to click the like button and subscribe to our channel. There will be more Magic the Gathering content coming soon, as well as other games like Pokemon and Dungeons & Dragons. This has been Jonathan Beach voicing this video. We thank you for watching and hope to see you again.